So
You know what,
welcome
Mark, I'm going
everyone.
to,
I just want to start today's program a little bit. We have a lot of people in the waiting room that are coming in out of the waiting room right now. And today is November 11th, 2020, believe it or not, November 11th. And this is an NTCA roundtable. And this roundtable is with our president of NTCA today, Mr. Chris Walker. And we have a large number of people coming in out of the waiting room, and we'll just give them a chance to get in out of the waiting room. As you come in out of the waiting room, you will be muted. You're welcome to unmute yourself. You have that ability, and we'll want to hear from you as we have our conversation today with NTCA's president, Chris Walker. We're here today. All of you are coming in out of the waiting room. Please feel free to turn on your video. We'd love to see you today if you're able to. If you're working, that's okay too. We'd love to see the project you're working on. Hi, Paul. Good to see you there. Hi, Rod. Amber, everybody that's coming in, great to see all of you. Once again, today is November 11th, 2020. We are recording this program today. This is an NTCA roundtable with NTCA's president, Chris Walker. And I'll introduce Chris in just a second here. I think all of you know him. And I want to say something about Chris to start off. I don't know if all of you have seen the latest edition of Tile Letter magazine. I'm trying to hold it up right here. Just want to read one little paragraph out of this that Chris wrote. And Chris wrote this for us to read. If you haven't read it yet, this is on the second page. And what Chris is asking for us to do is to continue to grow, continue to learn, keep an open mind, and do not presume that you know the best way to do anything. There's always a new and better mousetrap. Always do the best installation that you can. Trust yourself once you know your strength, and most importantly, you should get paid for that. Those are really great words, Chris, and I appreciate them. And everyone, I'm going to turn this over to Chris Walker. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Mark. I wrote that. That was pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That's kind of been the theme of a lot of the president's letters that I've written in the last couple of years. One of the things that you get to do as president of the NTCA is contribute every month to the tile letter. That 600 words is one of the most stressful things I've ever had to do, frankly. It's, you know, it's putting your thoughts down for somebody else to review. And sometimes I got some great comments. In fact, I got a lot of great comments. I was really appreciative of that. So for anybody that shut me back a note or whatever, thanks very much. But yeah, it's always been about the craftsperson and getting paid for what you know, and having faith in the information that you've worked a lifetime to develop, and share that with the folks that want to pay you to do your job. That's what I'm all about.
Terrific. So Chris, everybody that's in here, Chris would just love to have a conversation with you today. He'd love to hear from you. If you have something to say, some questions that you have for Chris, please feel free to join the conversation. And we're just going to chat with NTCA's president. And Chris, I've got a question to start it off. How did you originally get involved with the NTCA? When did you get involved, and how did that happen?
The first time I had any real involvement with the NTCA was at the time I was working for myself, a residential installer in Des Moines, Iowa, and one of the distributors that I was doing a lot of business with knew something about it, because I was asking him, I'm saying, well, why don't we, get the tile people together and start a little community here in our local area? And he goes, well, there's already a situation like that, and you can get involved. And so I found out about it, and I contacted Joe Tarver by, I think I called at the time, certainly wasn't an email at the time, and got my application together. Was really excited to then go to what was, I think, ITSC. It wasn't coverings yet. And some people have heard me say the story, but it was, at the time, for me to spend money on an airplane ticket and hotel and everything, that's what I call bread money. That means it was taking money out of the house budget to go there. And my wife couldn't quite figure out what I was doing, spending bread money to go to a tile show. So anyway, I said, I went and I'm all excited, and they had an NTCA lounge, and I got up there and there's a couple of guys sitting there at one table, and I wanted to walk over and say hello, but these guys paid me no mind at all, right? I was just, this is almost 30 something years ago. No, yeah, almost 30 years ago. And they just were busy talking about something. They didn't pay me any mind at all. And I was really deflated. So, that was my first experience with the NTCA, but I did go to ITSC or coverings and thought this is pretty spectacular. I went to the training sessions and I listened to the vendors, and I met a lot of people that very first time. And then frankly, I just kept going back to that. And eventually I ended up getting back involved with the NTCA because I saw the value that it had. And I can't say for sure exactly when that was, but I've got my original plaque in the office here. And Paul Sherber was the president at the time. So that tells you it's back in I think the late 90s was the time that I got back engaged in it again. Nice cat, Shannon. So, and I just keep coming back, and I keep coming back because I always learn something. It's just always something to learn, always something to figure out. And some of the folks that I meet at that show every year after year after year are just some of my best pals. So.
Hey, Chris, I just want to say one thing. That story you told about coming to the first meeting and feeling like a wallflower, right? Sitting there, no one talking to you. That story was told to many of us on the board and at NTCA. And because of that, we have really changed our direction as to welcoming people and meeting people, new people constantly. And I want to thank you for that. That was a great story and a great lead into helping us understanding how important it is to invite and welcome everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, that did come up, and it did change some things just in terms of us making sure that we were paying attention to trying to draw new folks in, and hopefully that's had a little bit of impact. So I'm digging watching Matthew actually install material as we speak. I think that's
I was watching that too. Good job, Matt.
Yeah, come as you are. Matt sure did. Great watching what you're doing there, Matt. So Chris, it really paid off for you, and it's paid off for lots of other members since then. What do you see as some of the best reasons to be an NTCA member?
I'm sorry, you got a little bit of an echo on that last sentence, Mark.
Okay. What do you see as some of the best reasons to be an NTCA member?
Well, NTCA's charter is all about training, right? That little snippet that you read in the beginning, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that the earlier any of us figure that out, the better off we are. And I just have learned over and over and over again that, going to these meetings and sitting down and sharing some time with some of the folks that are on this call right now, hi Dave Govis, was some of the most valuable free time I've spent, frankly, in my life. So, and I've always learned something every time I go to one of these meetings or shows or just get-togethers, and even just some of the NTCA roadshow events that I've been to. I still try to go to those whenever I can because I'm always finding, something to have a conversation with somebody about, different ways to do things, different perspective on stuff. Because I'm kind of proud that I'm one of the guys doing what I'm doing that's been both in the field working for myself and then also working for a fairly decent sized company.
Absolutely. Hey, Chris, do you mind if I share a couple of pictures? Everybody, Chris mentioned that he comes to the road shows. Here's a picture of Chris. He came to a road show in Providence, Rhode Island, I think this was. This was one of my first big events. That was really fantastic. Here's another picture of Chris I'm going to show you. Let's see right here. This is Chris and some of our other NTCA members. You might recognize these guys right here. Here's another picture of Chris. I mean, he just comes whenever we're within striking distance. Chris comes and supports. He's always there. If you look at the left side of the picture, There's Chris in the audience at an NTCA workshop. With our fairly recent regional training program, we held one of the first programs at Chris's facility there in, let's see if I can find that picture right here. There's the group of people. This was at David Allen Company, where Chris is right now, I think. And Chris, I just can't thank you enough for all of those times that you come and do this. You obviously see a lot of value in this. And I think there's a lot of value for other people too, right?
Yeah, you know, it's, well, as I'll give the, I think I shared this with Luke, who I saw was in earlier. I remember one of the meetings that I went to, a bunch of folks were going downtown and Dave Gobus was there with some guys. And for me, and Dave, I don't mean to embarrass you or anything, but for me, it was such a thrill to be able to just sit down and chat with Dave and a bunch of guys for a few hours at a tail end of a meeting. And, you know, those are the kinds of conversations that I've always found the most value in, because I'm just, you know, there's just so much experience in the room. Usually when you go to some of this stuff, there's just, you know, you can't stop being impressed by the commitment that many of these people have to the industry.
Hey, Chris, since we're trying to get to know you a little better and everybody wants to know you a little better, tell us a little bit about your family and your maybe some of your hobbies and things you like to do.
I'm a horrible golfer, and I'm hopefully a good dad. So I guess those are the two things that come to mind. I hope I'm a good dad. My daughter is 21. She's going to George Mason. My son's 17. He's a senior in high school, and we're trying to find out, you know, if he's going to college, where he's going to college, and all that stuff. My wife, Elena, and I were married. She's a Italian New Yorker because I lived in New York at the time, and we have been married 28 years now. And I always joke, my wife loves me. Sometimes she doesn't like me very much, but if you know any Italian New Yorkers, you totally get how that works. So.
Hey, Chris, this is Bart. How about a little bit about your background before David Allen Company? I mean, you really came out of residential in the beginning in Iowa, right? Share a little bit about that.
Well, actually, my first exposure to tile was I was a part-time helper. I went back to school. I think I was just past my mid-20s. I went back to college full-time, and I arranged my schedule to be full-time on Tuesday and Thursday, and then I was working full days as basically a laborer for a tile company because, you know, I knew a guy who had a company out in Queens. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I was a laborer / helper / you know, hump stuff around off the truck guy, and that turned into me getting to know a little bit about the trade and understanding the layout and working with the plans and prints, and pretty quickly got drawn into the office, and where I started to do some estimating and got involved in the, you know, purchasing, project manager side of it. That was for smaller commercial work, and then that was the recession of the 80s. So I ended up going back to my home, which was the Midwest, and started in my own, basically just my own, you know, mom and pop backsplash bathroom tile company. We were doing work for a pretty good high-end builder, relatively speaking, in the area at the time, and that business grew pretty quickly because I had made enough mistakes in the commercial side to find out some of the things that I wanted to avoid on the residential side. So that worked out. That worked out great. But the truth of the matter is I just couldn't find the niche that I wanted to in the Midwest, and my wife, being born and raised in New York, was anxious to get back to the East Coast, and I had an opportunity to come back to the East Coast, and we did. So I settled in New York and worked in the New York City market for about 20 years, and worked with both on my own and worked for a very large union tile, marble, and terrazzo company in New York called Port Morris, who happens to not be around any longer, but they were a 100-year-old company as well. And now for the last 10 years, I've been with the David Allen Company, who's a 100-year-old company and really a fine organization, one of the most award-winning companies in the country, and I'm real proud to be with them. Hey, Telly, how you doing?
Hey, Chris, why don't you let everybody know about your latest initiative with the ANSI A108 rewrite?
So I was fortunate when I was with Fort Morrison a little bit before that to start working as a, quote, one of the technical guys for TCA, Tile Contractors Association of America. And I got my first opportunity to go to a TCNA handbook meeting, which actually we had another one yesterday. And that kind of piqued my interest because being an installer, I was interested in reading the bags and finding out about the material and the equipment. And I kind of learned organically some of the things that I thought led to high quality installations, and frankly suffered through some failures because, you know, we all do. So I got involved with the technical side and the methods side, and ended up 1 year, probably 18 years ago, sitting in a Mexican restaurant with Eric Astrakhan after being at one of those handbook meetings and talking through some of that stuff, and then ended up being the assistant or the vice chairman of the American National Standard Institute. Not because I'm, you know, smartest guy in the room, just because I really have a passion for the minutia sometimes in that specification and the tile stuff. And everybody needs to have a little perspective on what that document is. It's been around for a long time. And it started, I joke, it started when there were, you know, two methods of installation, mud and mud. You know, so all you had was mud and thicker mud. That's basically all there was. There was no, you know, highly sophisticated mortar additives. No, I'm not picking it up, Mike. So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought with that. But one of the problems with the ANSI document, at least from lots of folks' perspective, is that we've kind of just been piling stuff in on top of it. Sometimes instead of doing the hard work of really slicing and dicing and taking some of the older stuff out and finding out, you know, where it makes sense. There's references to products and methods in there that have kind of aged out. And in our world, in the tile installation world, changes are coming kind of at lightning speed compared to what they were for 3,000 years. Now we've got a whole bunch of new products, lots of really cool manufacturing techniques that are producing gigantic tile panels and lots of really sophisticated, very highly technical tile products with lots of really highly technical installation products. And we wanted to open that document back up and really take a hard look at it. I want to thank lots of folks for that, but, you know, lots of folks have done a lot of work before us, but right now, Becky, who's on the call, and Scott, who's on the call, have really been working really, really hard on this year for the last several months, just doing a ton of, spending a ton of time. And then also another, there's just a whole bunch of folks to thank for that, because it's a big committee and it's been going on for a couple of years, but we're hoping to essentially roll out a new document that kind of starts like the tile installation starts, from the bottom up. Clearly identifying what's the work of the tile contractor or the installation professional, clearly identifying what's not the work of the installation professional, and hopefully trying to indemnify to a fair degree the installation contractor, and try to do what's best for the tile consumer, the manufacturer, and the installer. Try to separate what I like to call the pots of responsibility. Everybody owns a little responsibility, but it shouldn't all fall one place or another. And sometimes when the individual tile contractor doesn't have a lot of voice in that process, there's an awful lot of money behind an awful lot of research and development that, I won't say they have an agenda, but they of course want to do what's best for their product. So we're hopefully trying to find some balance and hopefully doing what's good for everybody. And me personally, I just have always tried to have an eye on making sure the language is not protective of, but certainly takes into consideration the perspective of the individual trade contractor.
So Chris, if somebody wanted to get involved and help with the standards, how did you get involved? I mean, you said how you got involved, but how would somebody that is maybe an NTCA member already or not yet a member, how do they get more involved with that sort of thing?
Show up, show interest, do some work on the some subcommittees. There's always a subcommittee. There's always some little rabbit hole. We need folks to go down to try to do some investigation into this or that. And you know, NTCA is a volunteer association, so we're looking for volunteers. And, you know, frankly, it's just like everything. You find folks that are consistently saying yes, and those are the people that you come to rely on. So you just want to be those people that's saying yes and staying involved, you know, for lots of reasons. One, because you're going to learn from it, but two, a tremendous opportunity to develop both personally and professionally. I mean, that just can't be overstated. It's just, you know, the amount of exposure you'll get and the people that you get to meet at all different levels from the manufacturers of both the tile and the setting materials is, gosh, it's invaluable.
It really is. And who do they say yes to? Do they say yes to you? Do they call you up? Do they give Bart a call? Jim? What would you suggest if somebody wants to get involved?
Well, first of all, I would say that you know, remember that, you know, this thing was Meet the Ntca, and I'm actually meant to start with this. I'm not the Ntca. The Ntca is you and Bart and Jim and Becky and everybody involved from the association. The executive committee, we're just temporary stewards. We move through the rotation with the opportunity to try to hopefully guide and push forward some initiatives that might change from day to day. But I would say for anybody that's truly involved in participating, get a hold of Jim and Bart.
So Chris, I just want to say you're wrong. All of these people, including yourself, are the Ntca, and that's what the Ntca is. And it's all of these members that get together, have these kind of discussions, and get a chance to meet you. Your leadership has been great, and you are the Ntca. You are what the Ntca is all about. So that's really important to remember. This is a members or association. So.
Well, you know, I mean, even if you look on this call, like Curtis Yoakum, Curtis, you've been around doing this for a long time, and you know, you've forgotten a lot of stuff. With that old line, you've forgotten more than some folks will ever know. But you know, people that really have a passion for this stay involved and they stay engaged, and sooner or later, you know, people are going to reach out to you. And you know, I see like Chanel, I forgot her husband's name, he's the gentleman I can see, but I know that
Jamin.
you and I'm sorry. Yeah,
It's
like
Jamin.
you guys have gotten a lot of recognition. A, because you're nice folks, but B, because you have a passion for what you're doing. So you're getting that recognition. Erin, you know, showed up on the scene a few years ago, and anybody that knows her knows that she goes about 1,000 miles an hour all the time. You know, and gosh, I look through the screen at so many folks that are just, you know, constantly doing the right thing for the right reason. And many of those folks are doing it not because they're getting paid to do it for a company, but because they believe that it's got value, and so they continue to participate.
Hey, Chris, I'm wondering, you know, the 100-year-old company, what are you hearing, or what are your leaders, you and your other contemporaries that David Allen's saying about the commercial market and your planning moving into uncertain times into 2021?
It's certainly going to be challenging. Can't say for sure exactly what the commercial market looks like. I know that, you know, this meeting, Zoom meetings, and meetings like this have certainly taken the pressure off of some companies to have gigantic brick and mortar operations, and have broken down the resistance that many folks felt about having people work remotely. So I don't know that we know how that's going to settle out yet. I think that it'll change how office spaces are built. And I know there's lots of architects and design folks working on that right now, but tile is tile. It endures. I think I said it the other day with Luke. I mean, you know, bankers like to make loans, and contractors like to build, and tile people like to install tile. So sooner or later, we always find a way back to whatever our next new normal is, just because that's what we do. You can't just pick up your tools and go home. You know, you have to find a way to make it work. So does it look the same 10 years from now? Probably not. I don't think anybody knows exactly how it looks, though. More specifically, answer to your question, that 2021, lots of folks in the commercial market had a pretty good backlog into 2021. 2022, we've got some work into 2022. We'd like to be filling that up a little bit more. But beyond that, I think that, you know, we got to get the election behind us, and get the vaccine out, and just try to operate at a more normalized set of rules before we can really find out what that's going to look like going forward.
Yeah, I can tell you, Chris, that coming up in 2021, Ntca is going to be getting back on the road as soon as we can. The COVID has been a tough thing for us. So just wanted to speak to that a little bit. Watch for our schedule coming up, everyone. Chris, you've mentioned a lot of things. How are you able to manage all of your time, wearing all these hats that you do with ANSI and TCNA and these other committees, president of Ntca, Ntca membership, and your regular job and your family? What's your secret for being able to manage so many things?
Well, Mr. Robertson, who's the 65+ year CEO, chairman of the David Allen Company, has an answer for, when people ask you, what's the key to your success? And he goes, the work I got done before 8 and after 5. So, there's lots of stuff. Anybody that's working for themselves or with somebody knows that, work is it's pretty much do what you can while you can. And I've just never been somebody that was a 9-to-5 guy. Hopefully I fit it all in well. The reality of many of the things that I do is it's not actively taking hours a week out of my time. Otherwise, David Allen Company might have a few things to say about that. Some of it is very much participating in and because we're all assisting each other, like with Becky and Scott, they're really doing the hard work right now of the ANSI document. And that's on top of all the work that folks have done in the past. So I won't say that it's an advisory thing, but a lot of it is just like the executive committee for the National Tile Contractors Association. A lot of it is work by committee, work by collaboration. So it's not like I've got to spend 4 hours a day on each one of those tasks for each one of those associations. But I always need to remember that the principal job that I have is the vice president of the David Allen Company. And that's what keeps the food on the table and pays for college and all those good things.
Yeah, outstanding. That's great advice. And I know that Jonna last week helped us deal with some of the stress in our daily lives too. So yeah, thanks for that, Jonna.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I don't know if he's still there, but I saw a gentleman named Tim Christopher on for a while. Is he still with us?
Tim, are you there? I think you get the long distance award.
Yeah, I'm still here. How you going?
Hey, Tim, it's great to see you.
So I just need to ask a question. Now, we've shared a lot of the TCNA and the Ntca reference manuals, and the Australian community has embraced those a lot. Do you see a lot of really significant differences between how you install tile and how we install tile?
Yeah, there's some differences. We still got a bit of a mud-based sort of a system going, at least for the floors. But to be honest, like I'm on our standards committee here, and we're trying to follow you, if anything. That's why I'm involved with the Ntca. Like it's a great source of information. But yeah, like there are differences. Like we don't have a lot of those the Schluter type mats and that here yet. So yeah, that'd be probably the main difference.
Well, it's interesting. Bart and I and a couple of other gentlemen from the Ntca had the opportunity to speak with some gentlemen who are essentially kind of the EU Tile Association, the equivalent, I suppose, of the American National Standards Institute. This was a collection of countries, both EU and Eastern Bloc countries, and their methods and standards association. And not to brag, but frankly, the level of just the depth and breadth of the manuals that we have by comparison was pretty impressive, considering the fact that, mud installations kind of started there, 3,500 years ago. I would have thought that there would have been a more formalized standard, but we were kind of proud to be able to have them ask us to share our documents with them, which I thought was pretty cool. That the guy from Germany was asking us to, provide a little bit of direction with our document. And, those are mud guys, right? Those are guys and gals. Sorry, Paige. Sorry, but those folks have been doing it for a long time. So it was just fun to think that they had some respect for our documents, especially because lots of us on this page, in fact, have had an opportunity to participate in the development and updating of those documents.
So are you saying the NTCA influences the world?
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't have said it any better, Jim. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Not that this is a program on Australia, Tim, but I guess the guys would be interested. Is availability of labor and the young people coming into the trade as big of an issue there as it is here? And what are you guys doing? And by the way, it's good to see you. I think I saw you and your wife in Spain right before all of this just blew up on us, right? So it's good to see you again. Yeah.
Yeah, good to see you too, Bart. Yeah, look, we've got the same problems. It's harder to get the young kids into it. There's a lot of external labour brought in from other countries, and the skill level really varies. So we've got a lot of problems with a standard that's older than the iPhone, and then people who don't really know what they're doing necessarily. And so we've got problems. We're trying to deal with it by updating our standard and that sort of thing, but it's an uphill battle, that's for sure.
So when I ask you about, what's your standard mortar manufacturer, what comes to mind? Are they the same names that we're familiar with here, generally speaking?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're linked in with the ISO system pretty much, so we try to follow them. But yeah, like the tile side, the tile manufacturing side, standards are pretty good. But the installation is really where it's let down, I'd say.
So, early on, you asked me a question about NTCA, and I asked a young lady to join us today, particularly because I want to share a story, and Mark, this is relevant to you as well. So, Paige, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but it's kind of a cool story only because I happened to be at an NTCA roadshow event with Mark, I don't know, 3 years ago, maybe. And one of the folks there was Paige. Right. And she decided, well, for whatever she heard, that she decided it was something that she thought was interesting. She wanted to participate. So that night she signed up as a member of the NTCA. And it was, there's a great shot, right? So there we are, right? And not that she doesn't deserve every bit of it, but I think that, joining the NTCA has given Paige the opportunity to really showcase the fantastic young lady that she is, and given her an opportunity to have a voice, in the industry. And now she's working with a major manufacturer. And I just think that's a cool story. And Paige, not to put you on the spot, but can you follow that up at all? Can you share with us what it's meant to you a little bit?
Oh, well, I was still fairly new to tile then. I mean, I'd been setting tile, but I had no idea what I was doing, and I was trying to get better. So I think at that point I had joined like Tile Geeks and Global Tile Posse, and I saw that event posted. I was like, hey, that's near me, so let me go check it out, because I really want to learn more, because I feel like I love it, but I feel like I'm doing it wrong. So the NTCA opened a huge door for me, and I feel like the people within the NTCA.
That's the problem. That's the problem with live video.
Yeah, Paige, you're mobile and we lost your audio. So don't give up on us. Keep trying.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you now. Go ahead again.
Should I start over?
Start about in the middle.
Just that the NTCA opened a huge door for you is kind of where you got left off.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, the NTCA opened a huge door for me. I was definitely doing things wrong. I was putting nails in my pan liners. So being able to learn everything properly. That really helped me grow my business, helped me grow as like a person. I feel like without them, especially with all the support and everybody, you know, even people on this call, I ask them questions as well. And it's been amazing. Amazing time. I love this industry, and I don't.
Hey, Mark and Chris, that's a great example though of Paige attending a workshop. We found, then we were able to find out about her from you guys, and she was nominated for Coverings Rockstar, and I think some other people, I think Alicia and Jacob Harris are here too. But that's how those things happen, right? The nomination for Rockstar at Coverings got Paige a little bit more exposure. Getting involved on social media is also a part of that, and then that translates from contracting into a, like Chris said, a career opportunity and working for Schluter Systems now. And you know, entering the trade, you know, this is a great industry, and there's a lot of opportunities in contracting as well as in distribution and in manufacturing. And Paige is a perfect example of why it's important to go to events and getting involved, because it's the connections that you make and the people that you meet. So congratulations, Paige, on that for sure.
So I want to jump in now because I just saw Sam join us. So that means that, you know, we have the current president, myself, and the president, first vice president, Martin Brooks, second vice president, Sam Bruce, and the second vice president-elect on Rod Owen. So basically you've got the hierarchy over the next few years, and then this January I'll pass off to a chairman role for 2 years and then a board advisor role for 4 years. So it's a big commitment. It's a 12-year commitment. And you know, you say, how do you get involved? Well, you'd be one of those people that shows continuity in delivering, you know, delivering your expertise, your interest, your energy to the association, and the association's definitely looking for you. I don't know if you got 12 years in you or not, but you know, for folks that are interested in that kind of a turn, you know, it's definitely available. I don't know, you know, kind of Martin Brooks dropped onto the scene maybe, at least from my recollection, 6 or 8 years ago, and essentially opened up California because we were just weak on the West Coast, and Martin's passion brought a whole bunch of membership and attention to the Ntca and brought that training message to the California coast, where it hadn't really necessarily been that strong before. It's just, you know, lots of cool stories. Sam is in a family business, you know, and if you've met Sam, you've met his sister, and you've probably met one of his brothers-in-laws or somebody else, because they're always traveling in a group. You know, and that whole company apparently is anchored by the matriarch, his mother, who's been keeping everybody in line apparently for a few years, and Visalia Tile out there. It's just a cool story. You know, they're cool tile people, and they're really engaged and really give it a lot back to the trade. So,
Chris, when you have the good fortune to find yourself in Sam's neck of the woods and you get wrapped up in that family group, you don't stand a chance. Let me tell you, do your Rob.
Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah. No, it is a great place to be. They're a terrific family, and it was great spending time with them. I don't think I've ate that good in I don't know how long. That week that we were there was absolutely terrific. So I would say in California, that's one of my favorite places to go, but I sure like to go fishing with Martin when I'm out there. So,
you know, you're talking about the West Coast. Steve didn't seem to be on today, Steve Belay, but just from the food he posts on Tile Geeks and Ntca, my gosh, that guy is some chef. I need to go to Massachusetts just to have dinner at his house. That's part of the fun part of this social media gig, and that it's just given everybody a lot more access to feel like more of a community. And there's been great opportunity and access to training, and a lot more opportunity for folks to share their work, which really just didn't exist until, you know, what, 10, 15 years ago. I'm kind of done with the Facebook thing. I'm decompressing from all the politics and all the rage, but I'll get back into it eventually and start checking those sites. But I love going on and seeing folks work and seeing how proud people are to showcase what they're doing. That's just a lot of fun.
You know,
I
Chris,
mean, I can't go on without seeing Aaron posting 17 times.
I want to mention before we get off the subject of food, when everybody gets into Mike Seema's town, make sure you make a date with Mike Seema. They've got a claim to the best hamburger in the country. And Mike, they got to be darn close out there, right? Yeah. You were talking about Aaron's energy, Chris. Who's got more energy than Aaron? And, you know, the things that people like her do for us. It's terrific to be a part of this membership.
Who's got more energy? I don't know. I can't say. From my perspective.
I do have a question.
What's that, Aaron?
It's my turn to ask a question since you're talking about me.
Okay.
So we're really involved in, you know, as an organization, the standards and methods. But what do you think initiative-wise we could improve on? We have so many people that want to volunteer. Where do you think we could really grow as an organization as the Ntca? Because people are geared up and always wanting to get involved.
Well, I don't want to speak for James Wolfel, who's the current chairman of the Ntca manual, but the easiest opportunity to have an immediate impact on the methods and standards, at least from the Ntca standard or the Ntca side, is the technical committee with James, because since that's our document, we have obviously total control over what gets in and what doesn't get in. And if you see things that aren't there and you think they need to be, that's a really easy thing to have an impact with. Plus, it also gets you into what I call method speak, right? There's just a whole process and language, and you know, sometimes you have to really be careful that small tweaks of the words have huge impacts, and sometimes those impacts are not positive for the industry. So it gets people thinking in those lines. So the simple, direct answer to your question is get a hold of James Wolfel and start engaging in the Ntca manual, because you'll have an opportunity to participate right away. And on the other documents, show up. Again, we covered this a little earlier. You just start participating in some of these, what we call ad hoc committees or side groups. Yesterday, we had a 6.5 hour TCNA handbook meeting. And within that meeting, there were probably at least, I don't know, Becky, 4 different little groups, side groups that got spun off to go find stuff out. I don't remember exactly. And then, right. You know, actually, I want to say something else. Aaron, if you see something that you think needs to be in there and you have a recommendation, there's no process that says only these people can make a recommendation. People come to us all the time and they've got a pet peeve or something that they want to see in the document, but you can't just show up and complain about it. You got to be willing to formally put together a standard method or change specifically the language that you want to change and submit it as a ballotable item. Because the folks at TCNA, they can't, lots of folks have pet peeves. Those don't translate usually into changes in the document, but there are awfully good ideas out there that can be changes or can be additions to the document. Submit them and then be responsible for carrying them through to ballot.
I think that'd be a good information spread for everyone to know how that process takes place. Maybe that could get some more members involved.
Might be a good article. Aaron, can I want to address your question just and go to a different spin and give just two examples. I just recently posted on our forum about spot bonding, and it really touched a nerve, the problems that we're seeing with spot bonding. And a lot of our members participated and gave pictures and gave input. And what's came out of that was some suggestions from members on social media to start going down the road of communicating beyond our own world, beyond our own industry, and communicating to consumers and designers and builders, of things to look for. Something as obvious as this, as a very bad practice, and almost create a consumer awareness campaign. And I got a proposal yesterday from Jane and Lee Callowert, and I think Jamin and Chanel are involved with that. But basically, people volunteering to start a committee, if you will, to start consumer awareness, not so much to run ads in consumers, but just to create awareness to the builder and designer community in our own social media circles. So that's a suggestion of a different angle where NTCA maybe hasn't gone before, that came from members. And that's just one. And one that's dear to you would be apprenticeship development. We spent years creating an apprenticeship program and guidelines that is a way that is not union. It can be run by anybody of NTCA members in any state. But the only way to be successful with that is to take that word out and from a grassroots approach, start maybe partnering. If you're not big enough, you'd have to partner with other members of yours in an area, but you could use our guidelines. The curriculum is there, and Becky runs the online component of it, and Becky can guide people right through. That's another area where people could get involved and not even have to travel. They could get involved and meet members in their own market, in their own community. So those are two examples, I think, to answer your question, that I would suggest that people look at.
I also wanted to jump in there for Chris real quick and talk about the technical committee and how important it is for you all to come, because it is limited to the voting members, but everyone's invited to come and participate and discuss issues or anything that they want. So you can come to any of our technical committees, be there and participate and bring up your ideas on things that maybe need to be added or changed. And I'm sorry, Aaron, I cut you off, so go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say, Bart, you know, if we ever hire a new employee or an installer that we bring in as an apprentice, or talking to architects or designers or general contractors, it's funny with your spot bonding, you're both number 1 and 2, that trial and error video. I mean, day 1, it's fantastic. I wish maybe it is in Spanish and I haven't found it, but I think it could make a huge difference. All of a sudden, people can understand. It's such great content, and especially, you know, in this digital age, that's the first thing people go to is videos. So more of that would be just excellent on and we have the staff to do it. I'll
send you the Spanish version, okay?
Yeah, and that's another great example of another committee, Aaron. The amount of video that's out on social media that everyone's doing themselves. We are growing very fast with our YouTube channel. We have a long way to go. We're an association. We have 15 employees. We have 1 marketing director. So really, the way that can really exponentially grow is to get our members involved on, to develop videos that are educational, but more importantly than just but videos that are accurate, right? I mean, no slant on social media, but sometimes we see videos where it's not being done right. Whereas we can be the place where every video that we put out that goes through a committee process, we know is following the standards and is accurate and is following best practices and being safe and proper PPE and all of that. So that's another committee I think that we need to start looking at as a video development committee. We just haven't had a chance to get everybody together. It's tough virtually to really engage. And that's why applaud Mark and Chris for putting this together, because this is how ideas are spawned, is when you bring committees together to talk about these things.
Hey, I want to thank a couple of people.
Dave Gobis has been waiting and putting his hand up pretty patiently.
Dave, jump on in there, Dave, and then Chris will get back to you.
Well, I just wanted to make an addition to Chris's statement, as I guess more or less part of the shift before Chris came on board. I would like to reinforce what he said about getting involved and what Bart said about getting involved in the process. And as long as I've been in this, everybody comes up with problems and then expects somebody else to do something about them. And, as we all know, that's not the way it works. The other thing is a lot of people seem intimidated by speaking up or speaking their voice. And nobody should be intimidated, to offer suggestions or problems. I mean, it's really important to get involved, not to be scared to become part of the process. I mean, if you make your statement and you don't like the work that's involved, that's one thing. But if we don't know what people are thinking or how people feel, what are we going to do? We can't do anything about it. So I'd like to reinforce what Chris said. That's it's been an issue for ever since I've been involved in this. So that's my comment. Don't be intimidated, and you can easily become part of the solution to whatever problem it is you perceive.
Yeah, it's something I think that's really important, and it's something that we probably don't spend enough time thinking about, is that we definitely do not want this to be the old white guys network. There are lots of folks in this trade that are not at NTCA, and we need those people to participate. We need, you know, we need people who are doing the work to participate. We need people who are managing the work to participate. The busiest person on this screen is someone I'm not familiar with, Alicia Harris. She's been in the warehouse in her truck, running back and forth. I mean, she has not stopped moving since this thing started. You know, people out there actually doing the work. Yeah, thank you. But you know, we need participation from everybody in the trade. And honestly, I was that same person. You know, I didn't feel comfortable talking to the folks that were having what I perceived a big meeting. But gosh, I mean, we would be so happy to embrace anyone that wanted to spend the time, share their knowledge, share their interest. That's just the way it works. And we really need those people to be engaged, because that's the future of the industry. It's not me, you know, it's some of the folks on this screen. So
I think everybody on this screen is very approachable, and nobody should question whether we would take their call or whether we would be interested in what they have to say, because we would, absolutely would. Anybody here in the NTCA side would be very interested.
Does anybody else have any, Mike Sema? Mike Sema's got his hands up. Unless he's signaling the right turn, I'm not sure.
Shima, Mike Shima.
Shima, I'm so bad at that. Mike Shima.
Yeah. I think, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I had to figure out how to turn my microphone on. I just wanted to say that when I got into the NTCA, Dan Hecox had a lot to do with that. He had a lot to do with a lot of guys in this area getting involved in the NTCA. Excuse me if I get a little emotional. The guy was, he's irreplaceable. But his approach, being able to approach him and have him engage the way he did with myself and a lot of the guys in this area really blew up the NTCA here and the CTI, and has really pushed me to try to do more for the industry. We're holding events at my shop now. We had a large panel demo with Adam Christensen. We had a Latticrete demo where we did some mud work and some shower work. I'm considering opening these up to the public because I'm so tired of going into a homeowner's house where they're just distraught at this brand new shower or 2-year-old or 3-year-old shower that's leaking. I mean, it's total failure. So the public awareness, builder awareness, contractor awareness, we're trying to promote the crap out of that. Luke Miller just did a great interview with Chris Rachel, and he's touched on that as well. And we've talked with each other about becoming CTI evaluators and doing the forensics reports that Dan did, because there's nobody here doing them anymore. So getting involved in it's easy. God, it's so easy. It's just reach out to someone, comment on something, or just message someone. It's really easy, and everybody's been as easy to work with as Dan was. Bart sent me a gift card to take my family out to a steak dinner, because we joked online about meeting at Coverings in 2017 and having a steak dinner. Well, we got there and it never happened, but he remembered that conversation we had and sent me a gift card to take my family out for a steak dinner. Wow. Who does that? You know, so and in talking to Jim and Mark and Scott Carruthers and everybody I've talked to, Aaron, we've met a couple of times, and Brad Denny, anybody you talk to is just more than willing to help. And so I just got to say thank you to everybody that's paved the way and got us where we are, and just hope that I'm helping to continue pushing that same message out here for everybody. So
Thanks,
Mike.
That's all.
Mike, we love you, and thank you for picking up Dan's reins. Those are big shoes to fill.
So I look at the screen and I get a chance to see all the folks on there. And, you know, if there's a testament to the Ntca, I mean, not just the Ntca folks, and some of the folks on here I haven't had a lot of personal interaction with, but I know of many of you, if not most of you, and just access to that kind of, you know, diversity across the whole spread of all the folks doing tile all around the country. That's awesome, right? I mean, what an opportunity to get a chance to share time with so many different people who are engaged in the same thing you are. That's really, for me, what I'd say the biggest payback that I've gotten from Ntca is that. Just, you know, Will White Custom has always got something interesting to say, you know, always contributing. Kent Glazer, been in the business most of his life. Yesterday just got voted onto the TCNA committee. Hey, Kent, congratulations. You know, I mean, lots of folks whose pictures aren't even up, but I've just had a chance to share some time with. Why not? I mean, why wouldn't you want that? And then to follow that up with an opportunity to get together at some of these events is really special. And I'm blessed to have been able to participate in that for the last 20 something years. So I kind of feel like, you know, you got, you know, I think I should retire, because Luke did something a few weeks ago, and now it's Mark. I'm thinking like, well, I might be getting pushed out here, so I don't know.
Take the hint.
What?
Take the hint. Amber's had her hand up for a while.
Yeah, go ahead, Amber.
I just had a little something to follow up from Mike's kind of comments about, you know, basically the teachings and then qualified labor out there. And from my standpoint, being with the Ntca 5-star group, I've seen personally an uptick in outreach from general contractors, from our 5-star members, not just that these jobs are having the specifications for qualified labor language in them, but we're also getting to where I'm seeing the architects, designers, and GCs upholding these specifications and asking for proof and asking for, you know, who does this type of work in the area, different things like that. We have a very large group here today, a lot of contractors, a lot of industry supporters, and I feel as though a lot of the work and the grassroots that we have been doing is starting to break through. And I'm wondering if from these contractors or anyone, are you guys seeing more of the specifications as well that I'm starting to see a lot more of? So it's kind of a question to the group, I guess, and especially those contractors out there, if they're seeing that on their bid forms, or if, you know, just kind of the temperature is, if I'm on the right track, that we're starting to break through.
Tons in Texas. I mean, I send them to you every time. And so you guys know, Amber and the Ntca, if there is qualified labor language, if you send it to them early, they will contact them to make sure it upholds. And I don't think a lot of people know that. It's been a huge value to us at JNR, and to know that the organization has your back, and it's a professional organization reaching out to either the architect or general contractor gives it some validity and a little more credibility as a national organization versus the company calling. So thank you everybody for helping with that. Lots of specs down here. And as you know, Amber, the more you get out and talk about it, and, you know, 5-stars can give architectural presentations. That's how it happens down here. So if you're not a 5-star member, residential or commercial, and you're not afraid to get in front of people and give presentations, I highly recommend it. It'll help your business.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Anybody else want to reply to Amber's comment there about specifications?
There was a couple messages in chat, Mark. I think somebody replied in chat that they're seeing it.
Yeah, Jonna and Chris Pearson from Rare Square, excuse me.
Yep.
You see an uptick.
for sure, we're seeing it here at the office too, Amber. Lots of calls and lots of inquiries. And frankly, you know, the 5-star program, I think has a chance to really go to the next level, but it's going to need more members to become 5-star. You know, the best way to have these programs enforced is to have 1 or 2 minimum of these 5 stars in most major markets. And if you're a residential only contractor, you know, with the opportunities in high-end residential and remodeling in the next year to 2 years, which it really looks strong, this is a way, 5-star can be a way to differentiate your business from perhaps somebody competing. And I know Gianna is here, and she's a 5-star, and she's used that, I think, in their high-end residential business. So it's a little different. If you're a residential contractor, you're not going to get the specs. You're not going to be driven by the specs. You're going to have to market your business and that accreditation to your clients, either the consumers, the designers, or the builders. And if you're a commercial contractor, and as Aaron really well stated, you're not going to get the job if you just think the spec's going to drive the job. You've got to go out when you bid and include that in your proposal and really explain what that is and use that to your advantage. And really, frankly, Amber, they need to use you to help submit things and support that. And Aaron is an example of someone that has done that very well.
Okay, thank you very much. That's an excellent topic that we can continue in future discussions as well. I do want to shift gears, but before I do, we have Shannon Huff Stickler with her hand raised. Shannon?
I didn't think that actually worked when I did it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to catch you as you're getting ready to shift gears and kind of anchor you down in something that, because I'm actually going backwards to something that was said earlier. And, you know, I think the question was posed like, what more can we do? And I heard something that Mike said that really struck a nerve with me and reminded me that this is something I've been meaning to ask. Mike was saying, you know, that he was thinking about opening up some of the events that he's been having to the public, you know, and I deal often with, you know, unfortunate customers, right, who thought they did a good job of vetting the person that they were hiring and didn't, you know, maybe they weren't aware of all the different resources available to them to be able to find qualified labor. So I think something I've always been interested in seeing, you know, the association do more of is the outreach to the, you know, the people who are consuming the skills that you got. You know, it's like you do a whole lot. There's a ton on the right side of the scale as far as making sure that the labor force is qualified. But as far as the outreach to the various communities, the people who are consuming these services and seeking the skilled labor, how much does the Ntca do, and in what ways? Just ignorant about this. Maybe you're killing it and I don't realize it. But what more could be done, I guess, to make sure that people understand how to seek qualified labor? I don't know if I'm using my words all right, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. You know, I think there's a lot of focus on my perception of the Ntca has always been that it was geared more toward larger companies, you know, and I'm always hanging out with the trowel and bucket guys and worrying about them, and, you know, trying to bridge that, like have the people who want to hire them find them and have them be ready when they're called upon, both things at the same time. So
can I jump in on this, Shannon?
Please do, because I can't.
So first of all, I want to say that the perception of us catering to larger companies is probably because the larger companies tend to participate more and get more involved with our board and our executive. We're trying to change that. We have a large amount of 1 or 2 man or up to 5 man companies that are members of the Ntca. So we try to reach out to all tile contractors. Our goal is to train and educate. The hard part is reaching out to the end user, right, who is looking for qualified labor. And that's where we work hand in hand with the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation, CTEF, and help to move certifications forward and promote that and organize that. And then, you know, they tend to have a lot of people come to them looking for qualified labor installers. Now, the hard part is to reach out to homeowners or end users that are looking for contractors. If they don't know to come to us, what is our avenue to reach out to them? And I think that's where we go to our ambassadors. And we have over 90 ambassadors across the country that are members that are, and whether they're contractor members or manufacturer members, that we ask them to try and, you know, be out there recommending qualified labor and the programs moving forward. But I would turn that around, Shannon, and I would ask, how can we help you to get the word out? And what would you see an avenue for us to do that? How do we do that? And how do we move forward reaching, you know, the Mr. and Mrs. homeowner that's looking to remodel their home? And how do we do that and promote our members?
Well, that's a big question. And I definitely have ideas. I mean, there's certainly lots of places you could put yourself, right? I mean, even just, I don't know at what level the NTCA participates in, like little home shows, little community home shows, right? Where you've got like your window guy and your local bank loan guy and whatever, you know, and have someone there, you know, making people aware of it. You know, I don't know if you need to, you know, place ads in the types of magazines where people are going for that kind of thing. You know, I mean, I think there's that's like a whole marketing branch, right? Like that's its whole own thing. But I think that, you know, you have to meet people where they are, right? So wherever it is that homeowners or builders or remodelers or people who are looking for skilled, you know, tile labor, where are they? You know, and you know, you've got Angie's List and Home Advisor and all this nonsense, you know, and that's where, I shouldn't call that nonsense maybe, but I don't think they're here, so it's okay, right? But I mean, you know, when a homeowner comes to me and says, like, how do I find a good tile setter? Right. There's not that many places for me to point them to, you know, and the fact that they don't know is, you know, that's evident that there's an issue, you know, that they're not being reached. How to reach them? Where does the money come for that? Who's in charge of it? Right.
Shannon, you touched,
home advisors and Angie's List, and we've talked to them about our members and getting our members involved, and our members come back and say, well, they don't pay enough, you know, we don't get recommended to enough jobs where we can get paid, you know, for those situations. So that doesn't work. But
no, and I wasn't suggesting participation with those organizations that exist, but I think that what you should be offering, in my opinion, is an alternative to those resources where our people aren't necessarily taken care of, right? I mean, they're in it to make money is why those things exist, you know? Right. So to establish the NTCA as an equally known resource, that's the task. How you do it, I don't know, not my wheelhouse, but it's definitely something that I feel is lacking.
Your suggestion is fantastic. And I think, you know, if we could find an avenue to do that or move that without it being very expensive, that's where advertising is very expensive, you know, for those magazines or HGTV or those kind of things. We've looked into all of those, but they are expensive. I know I cut Bart off twice now, so I think he has.
Oh, no, first of all,
also, Bart, before we get to you, Alicia, I want Alicia to know I see your hand is raised. We also have Aaron. We'll get to both of you. Bart, go ahead.
Well, I was going to mention I had seen Mike's hand and Aaron's and Alicia's, but that, Shannon, if we were killing it, you wouldn't ask the question. So the reality is that we have work to do with that. And actually that is exactly what the proposal that Jane Callawart and Lee Callawart and Chanel sent was, a consumer awareness, and consumer awareness was more about the value of, you know, what to look for, and then why the NTCA would be a resource to look to find qualified labor. So that is exactly the type of a new committee initiative that's being talked about. we have done a lot of stuff at the NKBA shows. We've done that Mark and Robin have done stuff at the Journal of Light Construction and those shows, but we can't do every local home show. And again, that's where you have to have active members. We could give resources and tools for the members to do in their own local community. And I think that's where this community work needs to be done. But it's a great point.
Our ambassadors have done that, Bart. Many of them have stepped up to do their local builder shows or those kind of things, definitely, where we've provided then tablecloths and literature and, you know, things for them for that.
So plenty of people with their hands up, Mark.
Let's go to Alicia. I think she was up first. Oh, Alicia, you're muted.
She knows, she's trying.
Hey, right. I was trying to unmute. I actually just wanted to, you know, expand a little bit. And it's funny you guys said that because I just had a conversation with Jane yesterday about how, you know, we've reached a lot of tile contractors, but it's the end users. You know, these people see HGTV and, you know, they're installing the Schluter wrong, but because it's on TV, they believe it's the right way. And I see a lot of issues with installers talking to homeowners or customers and losing patience over misinformation or miseducation. And, you know, I'm not sure exactly how we can get across to them. But, you know, does anybody know of any smaller companies or any companies anywhere that are maybe doing like DIY classes in their warehouse or anything like that? Nope.
Does anybody know of any members or any contractors doing classes in their warehouses?
I mean, really, Alicia, that's what the are all about. I mean, we're in local tile distributors, and those are marketed to the tile contractors that are customers of the tile stores, but there are also architects, designers, and frankly, I've met homeowners in those as well.
I would, you know, I see a lot of us are having that same struggle with the end user. And so, you know, Chanel and Jane's proposal, that would be amazing if we could get something going on that.
You know, interestingly enough, this doesn't just limit itself to the homeowner. We have the same struggle in the commercial environment. You know, you've got folks out there that just aren't paying attention to how the stuff is controlled. Those are the folks that control the price in the marketplace. So it's no different all the way up and down the food chain, whether you're a bucket and trowel guy or a major shop. You know, the market is controlled by least willing to do the right job. So that's an unfortunate reality. But alternatively, that's also what Ntca is all about. It's all about the training. So half of the folks, and I was one of them myself, you know, I was doing lots of stupid stuff that I didn't know was wrong, but it was how I was shown, right? And it wasn't until it failed that I got my butt kicked a little bit that I learned that, I better be paying more attention to this or that. So,
Aaron, then Mike Shima.
So I was talking about video earlier. I got an education yesterday from a guy in marketing, and I was told 3 things. YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook are the best ways for contractors to connect, right? But I learned what a backlink is. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but it's just how everything connects that content with videos and those educational videos. I mean, I think that's the way to do it. So we're talking about the subcommittee with videos, and I think, you know, back to the Ntca YouTube page and how many shares and how many follows, and you know what I mean? I think that can all be backlinked in that content when people are looking for a contractor, or they do a search in Google for tile installation, tile contractor. It's all going to be that first hit on the page, and Google nationally for the Ntca, and then on the local level, the members. At least that's what I learned yesterday from a marketing person that I'm working with. It's how it's all connected and backlinked. Like, I've been blogging because I know in San Antonio that no one else is doing that. So how that all connects in the Google spiders, yes, that's really a thing. He told me this. The Google spiders reference you as the experts. You're always going to pop up first. All that content ranks you higher and higher, where you're going to get the first clicks as a consumer. So I mean, that's just my, you know, quick story about what I learned yesterday in terms of how this can maybe all connect on a national and a local level.
Mike Shima.
I've got an SEO that's working on stuff like that with my site right now, Aaron, with the spiders and connecting me to other things like the Ntca, CTI or CTF rather. But one thing I do know is the CTF website does have some great information for homeowners, and I steer them in that direction. Right when I get contacted by them, I send them a list of distributors I work with in town, and I send them a link to the CTEF website where they can find, basically there's some worksheets. And one of them is questions to ask, like an interview when they're interviewing the installer that they're going to hire. It tells them to ask for reference, this, that, whatever. It's 10, 15 questions, whatever it is. But that is something I point them in the direction of immediately, because I tell them, hey, you don't have to hire me, but I want you to hire somebody that can answer these questions and make you feel comfortable with the job that they're going to do in your house, because I don't want to come back after it's wrong. So that's one avenue that I always point people in. The other thing is, we would really love to do some workshops here. The tile shop does workshops. I've thought about contacting them to help them with seeing how they present their workshops. I don't know. I know that Cabby's been doing a lot with tile shop and trying to turn them around and give them a better image. Maybe that's an outlet. Home Depots do those things too. I don't know if there's many ambassadors that would walk into a Home Depot and say, hey, how can we help you with your presentation on tile?
Good luck with that one.
But it's definitely an avenue, right? I think Jason McDaniel did a video a couple years ago where him and somebody else went into a Home Depot thing and started clowning.
Mike, you went on mute.
Yeah. But the CTEF website is a good place to start pointing people towards, until the Ntca can, and I don't expect it, but people like Angie's List and House even and HomeWise, they've got massive marketing budgets and they charge accordingly. They charge people a lot for those leads, and they're able to use a lot of money to put out to market their websites and their services. So I don't really want to see us turn into that, a big marketing machine, but something to where we're tied with that CTEF information or have our own or whatever.
Scott Carruthers, can you speak to what the CTEF can do to help with this?
Sure, Mark. And thank you, Mike. It's great to see you. It's always a plus when we can get the consumer there. And as many have mentioned here this afternoon, it happens after the fact and the problem's already occurred and they're trying to solve the problem. But the CTF website has a couple of things. One is the zip code locator, so they can go in there and find a person in their area by either city, state, or zip code, and you can dial it down as close as 5 miles up to infinity. And that's a great resource. The other thing that Mike's alluding to is our top 10 contractor questions. We have quite an extensive homeowner guide that gives them the parameters. Do they have insurance? Do they have workman's comp? What certifications do they have? There's quite a list of things there to go down, and that way they can get an apple to apple comparison as opposed to the guy that gives you a number on a piece of ripped out notebook paper. It's all on the quality of installers that are out there to do the work.
Absolutely, Scott. Thank you very much. Everybody, I want to remind you of a couple of things here. This is not our last Ntca roundtable, is the first thing I want to remind you of. We have a lot going on in this conversation. What a terrific and tremendous conversation. I want to ask you to come back to another Ntca roundtable. We are going to shift gears a little bit. Right now, I do value all of your time. I know you're very busy and I know you have other things you need to get to this afternoon. So what we're going to do is a couple of things. First, I'm going to give you some dates that I want you to remember. I want you to remember next Tuesday, November 17th, we're going to have another roundtable. That's at 6 o'clock in the evening next Tuesday. That's our special edition artist roundtable. That's at 6 o'clock p.m. next Tuesday, November 17th. Don't miss that. Register for it right after this so you don't forget. It's going to be awesome.
Central
Session
time,
2.
Mark?
Special time, 6:00 p.m. Central. You'll see that on the registration. Then, you know what? Let's pick up this conversation that we're having. I would love to see all of you come back here on Wednesday, December 9th. Please write that one down. Wednesday, December 9th. That will be at 1:00 p.m. Central Time. Please go on to the Ntca website and register for that one. Our guest host for that will be Mike Weaver down in Florida. Mike Weaver will be guest hosting that one. And let's pick up this conversation then. I'll chat with Mike about that and we'll pick it up again then. And we can carry on. Yes?
Before we go any further, let me just say also on November 17th, next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central, we do have an interview. Bart is going to be interviewing a American Lung Association doctor on silica and silicosis and the new updates and what's going on. So please, go to the Ntca website and you can register for all of these events and be there. So thank you, Mark.
You and Mark will both be part of that with that doctor. So
correct.
This should be an interesting discussion.
Absolutely. The last roundtable I want to mention is December 16th. That's again a Wednesday at 1:00 Central. Dirk Sullivan, if any of you know Dirk Sullivan, which I'm sure you do, he'll be our guest host. We'll continue this conversation again then. We've got a lot to talk about. Keep coming back and let's keep discussing this and find some solutions. We're going to segue now to our ask. Yeah.
I just want everyone to know that today was the first of our Get to Know the Ntca and meeting Chris Walker, but we will be doing interviewing all of the people that Chris spoke about. We'll be talking about Martin Howard. We'll have Sam Bruce, Rod Owen. We're going to let everybody hopefully get an opportunity to meet all of our executive committee and then our board members as we move forward. So thank you for coming for that. I just wanted to say.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go over that one more time before we go. And Chris, we are going to come back to you before we finish today. But right now, I want to bring Rob Roderick and Randy Fleming into the conversation and help us play our Ask the Ref game, sponsored by none other than Custom Building Products. So Rob and Randy, can you help us out with this?
Certainly.
Probably not.
Certainly. All right, guys. This is for everybody to play first off. And these questions are based around our reference manual, okay? And if you're not familiar with our reference manual, it's set up in a problem, cause, cure format. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask you a question and you're going to use the chat screen to answer that question. If you're not familiar with Zoom, what you do is you go down to the bottom of the screen and click on the toolbar and you'll see a little chat icon. You click on that chat icon and then you can put in your answer. Now we'll give you a heads up. We're going to have multiple choice answers. And instead of writing out the whole answer, you're going to just put the letter. That's the quickest way to do that. And it is a timed game. So whoever gives the first answer is going to be the winner of one of these great prizes from Custom Building Products. So if everybody understands, we're going to go ahead and give it a go. So let's look at that. Let's look at that first question you got there for us, Mark. All right. We're going to talk about removing epoxy grout haze. If you've had to do that before, you know it's a difficult process. Get on your chat screen. We're going to give you some options of what our reference manual says to use to remove epoxy grout haze. Let's look at those options that we're going to give them. All right. Number 1A, sawdust and sand mixture. That sounds like an old school method there. That could possibly be it. Lemon juice. B. C, alkaline cleaner. That seems plausible. D, non-flammable solvent stripper. Not any type of stripper, a non-flammable stripper.
We've got a winner,
Okay.
Mike.
All right, Mike. Congratulations. That doesn't surprise me at all. Mike, you are the winner of our Ask the Ref, the first question. We do have another question coming up. And at the end of this, you can get with Mark and he will connect you with Custom Building Products to show you all the different prizes they have, and you get to select what you want. But congratulations, Mike. Way to go. And thanks everyone else for playing.
Hey, fantastic. Mike, shoot me an email when we're done here and I'll get you that information. There we go. Answer was D. Randy.
That's me. I'm ready. Okay. So 2 weeks ago, we lost the original Bond, James Bond. Sean Connery died about 2 weeks ago. Now, tile people can lose Bond and make them sad, and it'll cause them some real issues as well. There's two different ways, or a couple different ways that's listed in the reference manual. You can lose Bond from the tile or from the substrate. But what happens about the time when your mortar is stuck to the tile and stuck to the substrate, but it shears in the middle? What's the cause of that? There's a whole bunch of answers here. See if you can pick out all the right answers.
Okay, you ready, Randy?
I'm ready.
Here's the answers.
So all the answers are there in the reference manual. So you have to get all of them. I don't think it's the monkeys jumping on the bed, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, probably not that one.
I don't have the right answer yet. I'm seeing some.
Wisconsin cheese curds. It's probably not that E one either.
Hey, I put every letter in there. How did I not win?
Because you got the wrong ones in there too.
Oh.
Yeah. You can't have an incorrect one. Guys,
Jim,
I'm feeling like it looks like C's probably going to be
Aaron's got it.
Go. All right.
Aaron's got the right answer, all of them.
Congratulations, Aaron. Way to go.
All right. Aaron and Mike, congratulations. Thank you for playing Ask the Ref. And thank you, Custom Building Products, for being the sponsor of our NTCA roundtables. We really appreciate you, Custom, as a sponsor. And Aaron and Mike, I think I have both of your email addresses. I'm going to email you these sheets and you will be able to select some swag of your choice from Custom Building Products, and we'll get that to you right away. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Custom. Thanks for playing along. I want to get back to our announcements, then I'm going to turn it back over to Chris Walker. Just like Jim said, I want to remind you, this was just our first in our Meet the NTCA. Who is NTCA? We're going to meet the rest of our executive committee in the coming months. Our new schedule will be published very soon. Keep track of when that is. And let me tell you one way to keep track of that. I want you, if you're not yet part of our NTCA special VIP texting program, please join this today. All you have to do is text the letters NTCA, that's easy enough, to the number 31996. And what that will do, that will get you in our VIP text reminder program. We're not going to bombard you with texts maybe 4 or 5 times a month, but what we do is we remind you when these programs are happening, because we want us to help you, help us solve these solutions or come up with answers to all of these things we've been talking about today. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for being here. And Chris Walker, what do you have for us for some parting words?
No, I just think it's cool to be here with you folks, and thank you very much for your support and showing up today. I was pretty much convinced that there'd be like 3 people here, so appreciate the turnout. Steve, you owe me a dinner. And Vince, you know, I'm wondering if you got Met Park, let me know. And anyway, looking forward to hear Martin and Sam and Rod do this thing too. And, you know, just if you haven't been convinced to show up at one of these next events, or local or national one, you know, then we haven't done something wrong here, because you're going to benefit from it every time. So that's all I have. Thanks again.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Jim, what do you have to say?
I just wanted to say before everyone goes, if any of you feel like assisting a fellow tile contractor and someone who's been in a terrible accident recently, who is just coming on the Ntca board, but Ulis Maris had a terrible accident and will probably be out of work from 8 to 12 months. And there is a go to fund me page on the internet and on social media. But I just wanted to mention that he's in bad shape. He's going to make it, but he's in bad shape. So just thought I'd mention that for everyone.
Thank you, Jim, for reminding us. Ulish is a great guy. If none of you know him, please help Ulish. Terrific guy.
Mark, I think Jana put in, if we could share the link. Jim, do you have the GoFundMe link or on Ulis? If you could put that in here before we're done, that'd be great. Otherwise,
yeah, give me a minute. Give me a minute, and I'll have it.
Okay.
While you're wrapping up, Mark.
Yep, absolutely. While Jim's looking for that link, anything anybody else wants to add? Stephen Bellier, we were talking about food, and I just want to mention something, that Brussels sprouts are not my favorite thing.
Hey, all I know is that I've seen some of the stuff Stephen posts, and I have got to get my ass out there to have dinner at one of his catering events. Or we got to get Stephen, Mark, to cater maybe at the Ntca Awards and get some people involved. But his food looks awesome.
You're all invited. Come on up.
And Jim, it looks like Kent Glazer was able to find that and put the link in there.
So got it right there. Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kent. I'm going to bring that up.
I had just found it, but Kent's way faster.
Thank you, Kent. Here it is. This is the GoFundMe site. I'm sharing it on the screen with you. Kent's got it, the link in the chat screen. So before we close, please take a look at that link and go to this page and help out our dear friend Ulish.
Hey, Mark, and thank you. And one last thing, if any of you are veterans, today's Veterans Day, and I want to thank you all for your service. My father was a Korean War veteran. I lost him many years ago, and this was his biggest day of the year. Always, I can still remember. So thank you. If you or your loved ones are veterans, we appreciate all of your service. That's for sure.
Thanks to all of you. Appreciate it.
Happy Veterans Day, everybody. We're going to see you again on November 17th at 6 p.m. for our Artist Edition. Then we'll see you on December 9th, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time with Mike Weaver, and we're going to continue this conversation. Chris Walker, congratulations. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Paige.
Hey, Woody, missed you.